What's up, everybody? It's Nicole. Welcome back to my channel, Real Talk Recovery, where we talk about recovery from addiction and I share my life with you. Well, not tonight, though. Tonight, we're going to have a special guest, you guys. Tonight, we got Avalon coming on the channel to share her experience, strength, and hope. And I'm super excited because me and Avalon have been friends for a while. I've actually known her since the first time I ever started, since I started my YouTube channel. But I'm trying to think of how it's like been 2 years or something now. But me and Avalon, we're good friends. We talk on the phone, and we used to be on Facebook together all the time. All kinds of stuff. But I'm super excited because I want to get more women on the channel to share their stories. And because I know so many of you guys are ladies, and I know you guys can relate to hearing a woman's story. So I know for me, it helps me to be able to relate. You know what I mean? Oh, I see you guys. I see you. Hey, Kim. Hey, Art Deco. Hey, Cindy. Hey, Adam. Hey, Leroy. Hey, everybody, my loves. Hey, Deidre. Hello. Okay, guys. So we're just chilling. We're going to hang out until Avalon gets here. Hey, Scottish. Hey, sweet Adam. Yes, we go back to about 2.5 years almost now, I think. And Avalon's just a good person in general, you guys. Like, she is just a good friend, and she's a real friend. Hey, Julie, I'm so glad you caught me live too. Art Deco, I see them cigarettes, girl. I'm so glad you guys are here. Hey, Scottish. Oh, so let me tell you about how I first met Avalon while we're sitting here chatting, waiting for her to get here. So I want to say, I want to say that we found each other either from her finding my channel or I found her channel. Hey, Richard. I don't even remember. But then me and her and this girl, Liz, on Facebook, we became like the Three Musketeers, and we would talk to each other every day. We actually, like, she was sponsoring Liz, and we were all just like really good friends and hung out together. That's not my phone, buddy. Here. My son wants to play with my phone and do hold on, Alexander Pludre. Here. I love you. She is a strong recovery warrior. Nate says hi, everybody. Ooh, there she is. Here she is.
Here we go.
Oh, that looks good. Hey, girl.
Hey.
I'm so excited to have you on the channel, and everybody is excited to see you. There's so many people in the chat that know you and know about your old channel. So what we're going to do right now is I want you to tell us what it was like before you got into your addiction, what it was like during your addiction, and what it's like now. And I'm going to give you the floor. Take it away.
Oh my God, I'm just so nervous. All right. So, my name's Avalon, and some of you probably know me from Kratom for Recovery. Yeah, YouTube was, they weren't happy with me, so they struck me. But, and so, all right. So my story begins, some of my first memories were really dark. I spent a lot of time locked away, and abused as a child. And I had a mentally ill mother who used to feed me drugs. She used to give me this special tea that, it took me away from my issues. And even though the abuse was horrible, my brain started to realize that there were chemicals out there that could take me away from everything that hurt me. And it took me away from reality. And so, and I was also born addicted to Valium. So addiction, I was just kind of born with it,
Yeah.
But I was also, it was kind of like a dual thing because I was taken to church on Sundays and taught about this loving God who was just call out and he'll rescue you. And then I would go home and I would remember that and I'd be like, God, please rescue me. Please rescue me. And nothing ever, nothing happened. And so my little childlike mind was like, he's a no-show. And I was, that's what I thought as a child. And so, I would go to church and the pastor there was he was abused. He abused the children in the church. It was a cult. And that's where my mother went to church. That's where she learned all her tricks. But, as I grew, I was just so lonely and so, gosh, just needing the adults around me to love me. And I learned that I had to love myself. I had to just be there for myself and take care of myself because there was nobody around that was going to do that. And so I was kept away from society for the most part. So I didn't know how to be sociable. I was backwards. I knew sign language real well because I also was a little deaf. I don't know if you've ever known that, but I was deaf, so I learned sign language. And so that was basically the language that I had for the first part of my life. And so when I was 12, my mother divorced my father. My father was an alcoholic. He was in World War II. He came back all fucked up. Oops, sorry. Screwed up from.
Girl, you're fine.
From the war. So he was just emotionally not there. He was abusive. So when I was like around 12, my mother decided to marry the preacher that ran the cult church.
Oh,
because
God.
she played organ for the church. My father got divorced and he just left the picture. She married him, the preacher, who was a pedophile and abused, like I said before, all the children in the church. But then now I lived in his home, and it was a nightly thing. It was an abuse, and he also he had preacher friends because he was an evangelist all around the East Coast, and I sang. So he would do his little preacher show at churches around the East Coast. I would sing, but he also passed me around to his preacher friends. And so as you can see, the whole God thing, the whole religion thing just was all screwed up from the beginning. I often say that I think one of the worst things a person can do is rob somebody of their faith. I really do. And so, but when I was 18 years old, I ran away I had to get out. I had to get away. And I ran to California and started working for a drug cartel. And
good.
I met this girl, right? And she was visiting her family in my hometown, and I met her, and she's like, "Girl, you got to come to California. We got an in-ground heated pool in the backyard. So I was like, all right, I'm gone. So I did. I didn't realize though that it was the drug cartel guy that owned the house, and then I would have to work. I would have to work for that in-ground heated pool.
You were probably so happy to get away from the abuse that was happening to you by your mother's husband, but your mother was allowing that to happen. So not only do you have your mom that you can't trust, the preacher that you've known basically all your life, now that's your stepdad, and I cannot even imagine what it was like to be in that house and to have somebody doing that to you and feel like you can't trust your own mom to go talk to her about it.
Right. Well, my mother herself was abusive to me. She was abusive too. And so she knew and she participated. And, like I said, she was really screwed up. But when I got to California, I was used to being abused. I was used to giving myself away to anybody that wanted it, so it was really no big deal for me to have to work for this guy.
Yeah.
And I just was free. I was free of my family, and that's all that mattered. And that's when I was introduced to cocaine. Cocaine became really important to me. I became very addicted at the time to cocaine, and he, that was his main deal that he did. It didn't work. I ended up coming back and having to move back in with my parents. And but I knew I was introduced to hard drugs, and I knew that that's where I wanted to be. I knew I wanted that substance in my body that changed my reality. And so I partied like a rock star. I had my own job. I had my own car. Even though I lived in their house, I paid rent, and I was able to, I still had a life, and I partied. I did meth. I, did cocaine. But the thing is though, Nicole, is that I was able to walk away from those things. When I got married, I got married when I was 24. And when I had my kids, they became my life. And I walked away from all that partying and all that stuff. So it didn't grab me yet. Right. My kids fulfilled that in me. And so, but in 2001, I was diagnosed with ovarian cancer and introduced to pain meds. The very first time I put a opiate in my body, it was like what I had been missing my whole life. It had filled that deep canyon-sized hole that was inside of my chest, the loneliness, the pain, and the abuse from my marriage. My marriage was abusive. I was married to a man that was an alcoholic, and was abusive. And so my pain pill addiction grew and grew and grew. And I started buying them off the street because I would get a script for a month's worth, and they'd be gone in less than a week. I was eating them and snorting them, the whole 9 yards. And they, I didn't see the bottom that I was digging. I still, I didn't lose anything yet. I was still functioning. And it all the way up until 2010. When 2010 came, it was the first time that my son told me, "Mom, you shouldn't spend all this money on pain meds. You should just get a bag of dope. It's cheaper." It's the same thing. Pain meds are made out of heroin. So what's the big deal? Okay, but I'll only snort it. Yeah, that lasted about probably a month, and I had a needle in my arm. And my life, that's when my life took.
In 2010, your son was how old was your son?
He was born in 92.
Okay, so he was older, and he had gotten into an addiction. Your son had gotten into addiction, and he got into a bunch of trouble and stuff, right?
See, he started going down a really bad road, and I wasn't yet. I mean, I was in my pain pill addiction, but still it wasn't bad. I found a needle and a spoon in his drawer and called the cops for them to come get it. And I got him, I made him go directly into a diversion program. And it didn't work. He was in and out of my house. My kids were all doing drugs. I was using opiates to deal with the fact that all my children were doing drugs. But I got to a point in my addiction where there was a tipping point where I don't know, the insanity set in. I started asking my kids to find me pills.
Yeah.
because I didn't have the connections. And there was a tipping point in where I don't know,
We
insanity.
cross the imaginary line. You know what I'm talking about? It's like for a while there, it's kind of like, I don't know, it's like we think it's manageable. It's unmanageable no matter what. But
Right.
we still feel like we have some kind of control. And then we cross over that imaginary line, and that imaginary line was, probably for you, was going to your kids and saying, "Hey guys, like I ran out of pills. Can you help me? Can you hook me up with a hookup?" And so, and that's what, like, I always remember this time where I feel like I crossed that line, and that sounds like what you're saying is that was that time for you. Like when you crossed over and you started interacting with your kids and knowing that they were using, then that was like, okay, I've lost it. Now I'm in bad.
Yeah. My addiction was in control, and it overrode my motherly instinct.
Yeah.
My motherly instinct was I protected my children. And then my addiction became more important. But I still didn't realize it. I was
Right.
still in denial. I still did not think that it was a big deal what I was doing. It was such an illusion. But it went from, "Can you find me pills?" to my daughter came to me one day and says, "Mom, since you snort pills and I do, why don't we just do them together?" Okay, that sounds like a good idea. And it just escalated from there. I started using with my kids. I started shooting up with my kids. I smoked crack with my kids. They started looking at me as more of a drug using buddy than a mother. All respect was lost. And I still did not think it was an issue. That is what addiction does to our brains. It just
Right.
puts this cloak of deception over our brains we can't even see. So.
And listen to
Um,
me. I really commend you for being honest about that, because I know for me, whenever I share about using while I was pregnant, for the longest time I never wanted to share that I did that when I was pregnant with my son. And I felt so embarrassed and so ashamed to tell it. But there's so many people who have been where you're at, who have used with their parents or have been parents who used with their children. So the good thing about it now is that you're on the other side of that and you can look back on it. But it's like, that's how serious it is. That's where addiction takes us. It doesn't care if you're a mom. So after you started heroin, because your son told you about it being cheaper, tell us what happened then.
well, like I said, I started using the needle. And I just started. Nothing was off the table. I went through a bath salt time, and I started selling all my possessions, and I still didn't think there was a problem. I started selling myself. I'd lost a whole bunch of weight, and I thought it was all sexy, and it was all good because I was thin.
Yeah.
And I was hot, and I liked the attention, and I knew that I could use that. And my kids found out, and my one son disowned me. He still has disowned me. And I still didn't think there was a problem. Finally, my best friend, who I ran with, I was at her house when she got raided, and luckily they let me leave. But she got in recovery, and she was an inspiration for me. Like, I saw that she changed her life, and if she could change her life, then there was hope for me. And so one day I decided, I was up to 2 buns of heroin a day, guys, like, plus Dilaudid 8s, and everything went into a needle. I didn't know at the time, but I had contracted Hep C. And so I decided the one day I was just going to stop. And when I stopped, withdrawal happened. And I had my mind made up because I didn't ask for anything. I went through it, 12 days of hideous hell withdrawal, and went into rehab, and then to a halfway house. And I still couldn't say my name's Avalon, I'm an addict. I was in a halfway house, and I still could not admit I was an addict. Nope. Pride.
Denial, baby, denial.
Denial and pride.
Yeah.
Oh
pride.
my gosh. Yeah. Because even in my addiction, I didn't look the part. And so I had everybody fooled. Everybody, I couldn't admit it. Like, that just sounded so dirty to me. It sounded so dirty to me. I couldn't look at myself that way. I was in the halfway house for 6 months, and I got thrown out for threatening to throw a girl down the stairs.
Sorry.
Yeah. I was off the hook. I was off the hook. Like,
bitch, I'm throwing you down the stairs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I threw chairs. Like, I was just off the hook. Here, I thought I had just had a drug problem, right? But I didn't realize how fucked up I was. I thought, well, if I just lay the drugs down, everything will be okay. It's just it got a little out of control. But if I just get control back, I'll be good.
Right.
It didn't work that way. I went home. I got thrown out. I went home, and within 2 weeks, I relapsed, and died 3 times in 5 months. Overdosed, and decided that I was going to go back, and I was going to do it this time. And so I did. I went through withdrawal again, went to rehab, went to the halfway house, back to the same halfway house. They let me back in.
Yeah.
Against their better judgment. Against their better judgment. But and so I went back with a different attitude. And I then saw, I was willing to look at the fact that I had never grown up. The fact that I was just this child in a grown-up's body, and I was fucked, and I needed a new way. I needed a new way to live. And for me, it was the 12-step program.
Mm-hmm.
At first, the first time I was like, I don't need it. I don't want anything to do with it because it's a God program. Right. I don't want nothing to do with no God program. And I knew that there was going to be an issue. If I'm going to do this 12-step program, I'm going to have to deal with this God issue. There's no way I can do it. But you know what, Nicole, I stopped thinking that I had to worship a certain God. Mm-hmm. I just decided that I was just going to seek the universe and seek peace and seek love and seek self-knowledge. And the 12-step program became my higher power. The fellowship, the new way of life that taught me to grow up, that's still continuing to teach me 5 years later. Almost the end of this month, the 28th, I'm going to have 5 years clean.
That's awesome. That's so amazing. I didn't know it was at the end of this month. I've got to write that down. The 28th? Mm-hmm. Okay, I got you.
Yeah. And so, I've just, I've gotten through some really hard times in recovery, and I haven't used. I have mental health issues. I have dissociative identity disorder, and which makes it difficult. But for me, there's no excuse to use. I can't pick up no matter what, right. No matter how hard it gets, And so, I don't know. That's
I'm
it,
so
I
proud of
think.
you, Avalon. You have done so well. Okay, so Avalon has been sober for 5 years. Will you share with everybody? I don't know if you want to or not, but I know so many people are struggling because about so many people are struggling with being on maintenance medications, struggling with getting off maintenance medications, and I know you have a little bit of experience with that. Would you share
I
with
do.
everybody if you feel comfortable? You don't have
I
to.
do.
Okay,
Yeah.
go ahead.
Yeah. I was 2 years clean, and it was a struggle. I just felt like I was white knuckling it. And I was doing all the right things. I was going to meetings, I was sponsoring people, I was doing all these things, and my brain just wasn't resetting. I was just miserable. And so after a lot of thought and contemplation, I decided to go on Suboxone. And I joined an outpatient and did it through an outpatient. And I was on Suboxone for, I don't know, I can't really remember, 6 months. I can't remember, under a year. And
Yeah.
then discovered kratom, and decided that I was going to come off of Suboxone using kratom. And because for me, like you said in your video earlier, I felt that there was something wrong being on Suboxone. I felt like I wasn't doing it right because I was using a maintenance drug, like I was using Suboxone. And I was I I don't know, I didn't want to have that I didn't want to tell people. I didn't want people to know, because they would think that I really wasn't sober, that I really wasn't clean, because I was
Right.
taking, you know, um, and so I used
I
kratom.
absolutely understand. Like, I know exactly what you're talking about. And I felt the same way because we have been programmed to believe that there's only one way to recover, and that is through abstinence.
Right,
And imagine this, imagine how people feel like yourself who don't believe in Jesus Christ, and then they're drug addicts and they're trying to get sober. Well, there's this huge idea that the only way you can get sober is through believing in a higher power. It's
right,
kind of the same situation. And so I
yes,
had to start breaking outside of that box because I wasn't fitting into the box that everybody else was fitting into, or the majority of people were fitting into. And so I got on Suboxone and I thought, there's something wrong with me. I'm not like everybody else. My recovery doesn't matter. They say I'm not sober. I can't share because I'm on Suboxone. All these things. And then I started like really thinking about it and learning more about it and realizing that that is a judgment placed on me by the majority of people. Do you know what I'm saying? That's not the truth. And so
right.
continue. I want them to hear, because for the longest time I thought I was the only one who felt like that, you know?
Mm. No, and so I really didn't know what I was doing with kratom, and I used it to come off the Suboxone too fast, just raw. I did it the wrong way, and I fell into such a deep depression, and I almost relapsed on bath salt.
I remember
Had,
that. Tell
yeah.
everybody what happened. Because this is so good, you guys. Like, this stuff right here. This is the real deal. And you've shared about this before. I think you shared it on your channel. So share it with everybody that what happened.
All right. Yeah. I just made a leap off of Suboxone with kratom, and I started to sink, but I I fell so deep, guys, that I was self-harming again. I and I ordered, which I thought I ordered, bath salt online, $125 to what I thought was bath salt, and it was going to be delivered in like the next 2 days. And I, on one hand, was like, I don't want to do this, but I do. Like I was in a really bad place from just doing it the wrong way. Just it was just And so luckily it was a scam and it didn't happen. But if it had come in the mail, I don't know. I can't be honest with you and say, oh, I would be so high and mighty that I wouldn't have done it. I
Right.
think I would have. I think I would have.
Because
So
I
it's someone,
remember Avalon called me and told me about what happened and that it didn't show up. And we were both like, thank whoever. That's
yeah,
the universe doing for you what you could not do for yourself. Because Avalon was in the throes, you guys. I mean, she was ready to get this bath salt and go off the chain, and it didn't come. That's a miracle. That's a miracle.
it is.
You know,
It is. It is.
and when I was talking to her on the phone, I mean, I can't help but laugh about it now, you know. But back then, we were scared. Like I was scared for Avalon. I was like, we're losing Avalon. She's not going to come back. Something's going to happen. You know, it
Yeah.
was really, really scary.
Yeah. And so I went back on. I went back to the Suboxone doctor. I got back on Suboxone, and then I find out that I can't afford it anymore, and it wasn't working. But I weaned really, really, really slow, and did it the smart way this time. I couldn't listen. I suggest you go to the doctor and do it that way, but I didn't have that luxury because I couldn't
Right.
afford to keep going back and doing it under a doctor's care. But what I did do is I did a lot of research and I only cut it down like 1/8 of a piece every 2 weeks or so. And yes, I used the kratom to help because with Suboxone, at least I had withdrawal symptoms each time that I tried to lower. So the
Mm-hmm.
kratom really helped. But yeah, the kratom really helped me. And then I've been off Suboxone, I think, Nicole, what is it? 7-8 months maybe? Is it longer than
Yeah.
that now?
Yeah. It's been over 6 months. I know that.
Yeah, yeah. And so I use kratom every day now, only in the mornings, 3 teaspoons a day, just to help me get my day going. And it's really done miracles for me. Helps with my chronic pain. It helps with my depression and anxiety. It helps just give me a better outlook. I think my brain. I did to opiates for so long that I think my brain is just changed.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can't see living um, without something. And so, before I was on Suboxone, I used to judge Suboxone. I used to think that it was an excuse that, all these, why can't you just why can't you white knuckle it until I had the experience? When I had the experience of white knuckling it for 2 years and seeing like, no wonder people relapse. No
Right.
wonder. I mean, it's hell.
Right.
It's
Well, some
hell.
people don't get, I do believe that there are some people that get sober and they're genuinely happy being sober.
Yeah.
But then I also believe there's people like me and you who it's like this internal sadness, or I don't know how to explain it, void that never goes away. It's always there. Do you know what I'm saying? It's always
Yeah.
there. And I feel like Suboxone, kratom, and I really commend you because 3 tablespoons, like
Three
that's
teaspoons.
3 teaspoons. That is seems like not a large amount. I feel like what happens is I feel like a lot of people will start and they'll keep on upping it and keep on upping it and keep on upping it. And what I've watched Avalon do on her channel is she even talks about how to reset herself when she gets to a point where she's taken 3 teaspoons and it's like no longer doing the same thing it was before. She resets herself like naturally with natural herbs and stuff like that. Like I mean, I really think it's a wonder. I used to be very against kratom. I used to be very against Suboxone also. I used to judge people because that's the way I was taught. I
Yeah.
was taught that being on any kind of maintenance or medication was not clean and sober. And that's the way I was taught. So I went into everything thinking that one way until, just like you said, until I was put into the situation myself. And when you're put and your back is up against the wall and you're like, I don't know how to do, I can't live my life any other
Yeah.
way. I'm going to die. And Suboxone or Kratom helps you to live your life. I think it's a wonderful, wonderful thing. And I also think that it helps with depression. I think it helps people with their anxiety. Because like you said, our brains are never, I don't think I'm ever going to go back to the place I was before I ever used or drank, you know?
Right. Yeah.
I, I feel unbalanced, and I feel like I will feel like that forever, you know? And I just, it's so important for us. And I think because we've both been through it where we have tried to be sober through abstinence and we kept, you know, it was not a place where we were happy. And for me, I kept failing.
Yeah.
I think it's important for people like you and me and others who are on medically assisted treatment and who are using kratom or other herbs that way to help us, and we're using it in a therapeutic environment. We're going, like Avalon goes to meetings, you guys. She does therapy. There's sometimes where she's having like bad depression where she goes into respite care because she knows her mind, and she would rather go and seek help than to relapse and die.
Right. Absolutely.
And that's taken a long time for, I know it's taken me a while to get to a point where I know that I would rather go and get help or go into the hospital or take my medication than to die of a relapse.
Absolutely. Oh, absolutely. I sometimes I think, I should be further along for being clean for 5 years. I shouldn't have the depression. I self-judge, a lot. I should be further along in my recovery. I shouldn't have, but the thing is that, we all have, like, I had a really long way to crawl out of as far as my, my childhood and my, my mental stuff. And it's like, it's a wonder that I'm not in an insane asylum somewhere. I should be, and so the fact that I struggle some, it shouldn't be a big, I shouldn't hate on myself so much. And that's, whether you're on Suboxone, whether you have to take kratom, whether you have to have therapy, whatever, you don't hate on yourself, because we all have our different journeys, and we all have, different bottoms and, different.
Oh, yeah. Like, I think that we are so hard on ourselves. And it wasn't until like I met people like you and Jason and Cindy and Misty and everybody that's in the chat right now that I realized, like, we're all like that to ourselves. Every single person, we do the same exact thing. Like, we're extra hard on ourselves, or we hold ourselves to these unrealistic expectations. It's like you said, growing up in a home where you were sexually abused, you were physically abused, you didn't have your mom, you were locked away. Like, Avalon grew up on something that you guys would see out of a movie, okay? A horror film. And the fact that you are not, like, the fact that you're alive and you're able to tell a story is like a miracle. It's a miracle, because a lot of people wouldn't be able to mentally handle that. And that's why we check out with drugs and alcohol, because that gives us that relief to handle those things. But now what you're able to do is now you're learning how to work through those emotions and live your life in a healthy way. And that's why, like, tell everybody about your channel that you have now. Tell them what you're trying to do with your channel. Tell them what your mission is. Tell them about it. And then we're going to link it in the description. We're going to link it in the comments and all that good stuff. Okay, go ahead.
All right. It's Natural Addiction Recovery. Because that's the route that I've chosen to take. is using, what our Mother Earth has given us, that, to help what ails us. And I talk about, kratom, not just kratom, but there are a lot of herbs out there that can help with pain and depression and anxiety. And I also talk about addiction. I talk about my, today, I just recently had a friend relapse, and I went on and I was talking, it's frustrating. It's when we try to help others and we see them falling and failing over and over, and so I'll show my emotion. It's just like, it's raw, it's informative, and I just want people to know that there's other options besides medically assisted treatment. And but I still, I don't put it, put it down. I'm not going to judge anyone for anything they have. They need to keep a needle out of their arm, or
Right.
So.
Okay. Well, Avalon, I really am proud of you. You listen to me, girl. We've been on here for 41 minutes. I told you could do it. I told you it'd be so easy. See, you guys don't understand. Avalon called me, or she texted me, and she was so nervous. And I told her, I said, I just need you to talk for 45 minutes. And she goes, 45 minutes? And I was like, okay, how about 30? And she's like, 30 minutes? That's fine. Okay, girl, this is what I'm going to do. Like I said, I'm going to link your channel, and I want everybody to go over and show Avalon some love. Thank you so much.
Well, here's the thing.
Yes.
Here's the thing. My other channel, I was gaining all these subscribers, and then it's gone. And so I'm starting all over from the beginning again. I was like, should I even do this? Should I even start a channel again? But I'm passionate about it. And I have a story that can help other people. I can give it a meaning. I can use the things that happened to me and my experience in helping others. And I encourage my subscribers to message me. I have people that message me. We talk. I'm going to be, I don't know what that's going to be like when I get up to, 1 million subscribers. I'm not going to be able to do that. But right now I want to keep it personal. I want to be there for people. And so, yeah, come on over and check it out.
Yes. And they'll love it, because Avalon is super cool. You're just a real person, and it's really hard to find people like that on YouTube these days. So I just love you so much, girl. Thank you so much for coming on and just sharing and being so open, because it takes so much courage and bravery to share some of the things that you shared tonight. And I commend you for being able to be open like that. There's never any shame, and I got your back no matter what.
I know you do, and I have yours.
All right, girl. I love you. I'll talk to you later, okay?
All right. Bye-bye. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye. All right, you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed that. I am going to upload this video, and I will link Avalon's channel in the description in the comment section. Her channel is called Natural Addiction Recovery. You guys, Avalon has such a amazing story, and like I said, she is a miracle. The fact that she is alive today and that she's able to share her story is just so inspiring to me. It helps me, and I just appreciate everything she does, and I'm so glad that she has this new channel, because she did have a channel with like 300 or 400 subscribers on it, and then YouTube said and cut it off. So she's starting over from scratch. And like I said, she's a very good friend of mine. She's always had my back, and I really do appreciate that, because like I said, it's really, really hard to find people that, that you can trust and stuff today. So I'm just thankful to have her in my life, and I'm thankful for each and every one of you. And I really hope you enjoyed tonight's story. And I'm going to let you guys go. If you guys want to come on and share your story, just email me or text me at the phone number on the screen, and we will set up a time and date for you to come on. I think the next person I'm going to be having on is Daniel K. Daniel, he messaged me today on the cell phone. And then let me think, who else messaged me? I still have to have Convo Felon on, but like I said, I think Casey wanted to come on. So we got people who want to come on. I'm just going to get them lined out for this next week and the week after that. And this soon I'm going to start doing some videos on how to stay sober during the holidays, because I know it's hard. The holidays are stressful. So we're going to talk about that this week too. Thank you so much, Captain. So there's Avalon's link. And like I said, I'm going to link it too. And I'm going to let you guys go. Have a great night. I'll see y'all tomorrow. Thanks, Great Dane.